Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I care for my mother after she had Parkinson's and was diagnosed until her passing. In her memory, we started TogetherForSharon.com to honor her, support families, and advocate for a cure for all those still battling Parkinson's disease because no one should ever be in this fight alone. Today's guest is someone who means the world to me and to many of you, and such an honor to have him coming off the celebration of the 40th anniversary of his 1984 Olympic gold medal win. Congratulations, even though I'm a little late.
No, it's that's like coming off of it now, right?
Our speaker turned to the podium after 40 years of incredible impact. He successfully bridged the gap between sports and entertainment. He's a motivational speaker, television broadcaster, best-selling author, and entertainment and sports and entertainment, humanitarian cancer survivor, which we'll definitely discuss, eternal optimist, and one of the most popular figure skaters in the world. As a champion and survivor, he is a constant reminder that with faith, fortitude, and determination, anything is possible. I wanted to welcome Olympic gold medalist Scott Hamilton to the show, but I have to throw in also just a friend of our mutual friend Michael out there. And the reason we were able to meet is because unfortunately his incredible wife Rebecca is battling Parkinson's disease and having a tough time, but because of individuals like you, Scott, this show will be dedicated to her, but also everyone that unfortunately we've lost, like my mother, due to Parkinson's disease. But having you here really changes the world. And I always say, if we reach just one person today, to encourage them never to feel alone, we've changed the world for the better.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. I mean, that's it. We're meant to be in relationship, and usually that is one-on-one. And so hopefully, yes, this broadcast will reach the person that needs it the most. So I'm with you on that.
Well, I told everyone a little bit about you, and I think I grew up watching you on TV. It's
Yeah.
really
The older I
amazing.
get, the more I hear that.
I knew you were going to say that. I always say, do I say that? But, you've touched the heart of so many through sports. We just published a book called Slowing the Progression of Parkinson's Disease Through Sports and Exercise. And it's, I don't know if ice hockey and also figure skating and all the ice sports have proven yet if it'll slow the progression. But since you're one of the top athletes, in my opinion, ever in history, and
Oh.
reach the pinnacle, maybe you could talk a little bit about your background. I also hope for a cure, obviously, for cancer, for dementia,
Mhm.
for all diseases, but unfortunately, Parkinson's affected my life the most. But please touch on, your battle, and what the resilience is just outstanding. It's hard to put into words sometimes, but you are literally an image and picture and voice of, I feel, not just cancer survivors in the fight for a cure, but Parkinson too. I feel we need everybody in this fight for a cure.
Yeah, and again, it's just the difference between, again, any condition, any medical malady is, brings its own set of challenges. The one thing with cancer is there are many, many forms of cancer that are treatable and curable, and as of to date, they've been able to keep Parkinson's patients comfortable longer and functional longer, but there's still no cure. Even early detection doesn't really work for Parkinson's disease. And just seeing the people in my life that it's impacted, and it's just been extraordinary to see the bravery, the resilience, the fight. I accidentally. I did a talk recently for Belmont University, and the gentleman, my friend Chaz Corzine, who manages the Fisher Center at Belmont University. They're having an event at his venue, and so we kind of went in and walked around, and it was a Michael J. Fox event, and Michael was there, and it was really extraordinary just to see the enthusiasm for his foundation, and just what he's done to be very public and very bold in everything that he's gone through. And I think, when you have celebrities like that have been through or going through or representing something that touches too many people, I think it's a rallying cry, and I think it's great that you honor your mother. The only reason I got into cancer in the first place was to honor my mother, who died of cancer. She never had a chance. I'm diagnosed almost 20 years later, 2 months shy of the 20th anniversary of losing my mom. I'm diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, and I was given an 80 to 90% chance of survival. So, medical research really is key to all of this. And, people getting behind these fundraisers, these awareness campaigns, and, people just being top of mind. And I commend you for that. Is, being out in front, honoring your mom, but just really fighting for those that are fighting for their lives. It's truly a testament of who you are, the character that she instilled in you. And I'm just really honored to be able to sit here and talk to you as a kind of co-survivor
I
of this,
appreciate it. And
these
also, like,
diseases. Yeah.
I'd love to dedicate today too in memory of your mother, because I don't feel we should ever let anyone be forgotten due to these diseases.
Yeah, I wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah.
Thank
No, I
you.
appreciate it. What was her name?
Dorothy.
Dorothy, thank you. And my mother was only 69 when she passed, and I feel she lost 15 years of her life, living, and also likely 15 after. And this I feel changes the world, because the more awareness we have, the more topic of discussion it becomes at the household around not just in the U.S. with 1.2 million people in the U.S., 10 million worldwide. It's something that's so urgent and needed. Want to know if we could go back. I know you probably aren't tired of talking about it, but what's it like starting out life, and how'd you know you wanted to go into the field you did? And
Oh man, that's how much time you have. I was adopted at 6 weeks of age. My mom was a nurturer by nature. She wanted to have a large family. She had one sister. Excuse me. She had one sister, and my father was an only child. So they really wanted to have a large family. And they had no problem conceiving. The problem was she'd carry a child full term and the child wouldn't survive. Um, it just would die at birth, and they couldn't figure out why. And again, we're talking about now the late 50s, where still almost every single medical adventure was experimental. They didn't know enough to get up in front of anything. They didn't understand anything. So, you're looking at one pregnancy in the mid 50s that a child died, and then she had twins, and then my sister survived, and then she had one more child, and that child didn't make it either. And so she was heartbroken. And so they adopted me. I was 6 weeks of age, so they're the only parents I've ever known. And at age 4, I stopped growing, and they couldn't figure out why. And so for the next 4 years, I was in and out of hospitals, starting in my hometown of Bowling Green, Ohio, and ending up at Boston Children's Hospital, which is, kind of like the center of the universe for children's challenges. And at that point, so um, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, so they sent us home with instructions just to live a normal life and see what happens next. And so to give my parents a morning off, because they were, by this time, after 4 years, they were financially shattered, physically exhausted, emotionally just drained all the way, as much as you could possibly be. And just, spiritually, I imagine there were challenges as well. So, in every possible way, they were just done. I mean, it was just so sad. And so, to give them a morning off, there was a brand new facility at Bowling Green State University where they wanted to have classes for the students and a hockey team for, competitive sports. And they would teach children how to skate every Saturday morning from 8 until noon. And so I went to their learn to skate classes, and I realized after several weeks that I could skate as well as the well kids. I was always the shortest, weakest, istest kid in my class. So last one chosen for any, team sport or anything else. But once I got on the ice, I realized after several more weeks that I could skate as well as the best athletes in my grade. And wow, first taste of self-esteem. And then I became a rink rat. All I wanted to do was be on the ice. And it kind of took on a life of its own. I had, it's sort of one of those roller coaster rides where I had a lot of failure. I had a lot of, embarrassment, just kind of trying to figure it out, work it out. But my mom always had this idea and this dream that someday I was going to go to the Olympics, and it was like there's nothing in my current condition that would like even hint at being on, an Olympic team. But she would always tell people when I was really young that, someday I think he's going to go to the Olympics. And she passed away in 1977. And the last competition she saw me skate in, I came in ninth on the championship men level. So there was really no, her faith in me was much greater than my faith in myself. But 3 years later, I'm on the 80 Olympic team, and then I went 4 years undefeated and won the Olympic gold medal in 1984, which doesn't make any sense, especially knowing my compulsory figures testing and my competitive record. It doesn't make any sense that I would hold 4 world titles and an Olympic gold medal. It doesn't make any sense at all. Just it doesn't. But again, my mom passed very young, 49. She fought her cancer for 2 years, and they threw everything they could at it, but they couldn't stop its progression. And so when I lost her, I became a fundraiser. And then when I survived, I became more of an activist for cancer. So I have a foundation called Scott Hamilton Cares Foundation. It's scottcares.org. And, I know you're promoting Parkinson's research and awareness. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask people to come and participate in cancer research as well. Because again, medical research, as you probably know, has taken on a whole different identity, and they're understanding the human body more and more and more. And my foundation's taken on sort of no hope cancers, the big bullies on the block. And we're not afraid to shy away from anything. We're not afraid or shy away from anything. So we really believe that unless you do something, nothing's going to get done. And so we're really passionate about elevating science. And it's really extraordinary, and you may be aware of this as well, that there are so many unintended uh, discoveries that come from somebody's trying to find a cure for this, and they find that whatever they've created actually treats this. It's really funny that there's it's kind of a antibiotic drug that works on certain cancers that works on my brain tumor, and they can't figure out why. It just does. So it's really remarkable that medical research is almost like throwing lines in the water. You're looking for a certain fish, but occasionally you pull out something extraordinary, and it's unexpected but miraculous.
Thanks for sharing that. And I feel you might get mad at me, but you're a role model and hero to so many because of the challenges and adversity throughout your whole life, not just skating, but
Oh, thank you.
come on top of them, still fighting. And again, what an honor! I'd say you should have a book, but you already do. I want to wanted to shift for a moment and please encourage also everyone to your beautiful website at scotthamilton.com. You also mentioned the .org, so we're going to share all these links. But
Oh, thank you.
it's amazing how, again, a lot of people, nothing wrong, someone like Michael J. Fox and yourself, the opposite, to live privately and not to come out in public and talk about these things. But the real inspirations are those like you and him, Mr. Fox, because you do really fight back. I've subscribed. It takes 1 minute. Everyone, please again go to scotthamilton.org. You'll find some incredible information. You'll be able to follow Scott on his journey. Also, I was obviously everyone's impressed, but Team USA, and I know you'll love this picture of yourself. of you.
Yeah, the mullet. Yeah, I love.
And,
I'm so
and
glad I don't have hair anymore because that's what it looked like.
that's why I have to tell everyone I asked Scott's permission before I share these. But you look beautiful then, and even more
Ah.
now. Also, you can follow him on Scott Hamilton 84. We follow you and share. I want this up to 1 million, and everyone knows I won't stop until we get that. So some of the speeches really motivating. I know, and I'll talk about later. Some days for me are tough. I've had 5 back surgeries. No one knows why.
Ooh,
And everybody's has their own type of thing. Then you see the world kind of going in some odd ways some days, and it's hard to some days to keep going. But then I look to individuals like yourself and really realize that we still have work to be done, and that we're all
yeah.
we can't stop now. We still have a lot more to do. So everyone out there, please support cancer research as well, and all the things that Scott's doing, because I know I will. And until the day is here when we have a cure for cancer and Parkinson's at everybody's doorsteps around the world. We have to keep fighting side by side. And I just want to shift now to a few, I always say fun questions, but
Yeah.
everything's been fun with you so far. So it's not, here's these, I always say the Barbara Walters and Oprah question, but in reality,
Oh boy. Okay.
the,
Pressure's on.
the only thing is in this one, I have to make a disclaimer. You probably have been interviewed by both of them.
Well,
I've never had that
Oprah,
before.
no, I've been on her show kind of a couple times. They showed some videos of me. Never been on the show. Her fiance Stedman, I played some golf with him in the past, and I met Gail King, but never really face to face with Oprah. And then Barbara Walters. Yeah, I have this Forrest Gump life. I sat next to her at a dinner for Special Olympics at the White House, and it was with George W. Bush, and so he's sitting like there's a Special Olympic athlete on my right, Barbara Walters on my left, and then the president is next to the Special Olympic athlete. And the conversation between George W. Bush and Barbara Walters was dynamic. It was just hilarious. I wish I had a tape recorder for that, but it was really fun. But yeah, it's the more you're out there, the more things happen, and I've had an extraordinary life in that kind of Forrest Gump way. So it's been
Well,
fun. So let's hit the questions.
well, if Oprah's listening, she's welcome to join both of us on the next episode. Can you list 3 words that describe who you are?
Short, bald, tenacious.
This one's a tough one because you have many, but is there one moment or most memorable moment that stands out through most of the work you've done with awareness? It could be for cancer awareness.
On the night of my 40th anniversary and my Olympic gold medal, I had Brian Orser, who came in second, and Joseph Ovchik with me, who came in third. And we're celebrating our big night together 40 years later in New York City. And I was doing a Skate to Eliminate Cancer event. And I was handed my talking points for the night, because we were raising money for CARES, my cancer foundation. And I was able to announce that metastatic melanoma immunotherapy research program that we funded, totally funded through CARES, that was the disease that killed my mom, was going into clinical trial.
Hmm.
So that was one of the big nights ever. I mean, after 47 years, I'm able to announce that after all the fundraising and after all that activism and advocacy, finally there might be hope for somebody to survive this disease without chemotherapy and without invasive treatments that change the way your body works forever. So it was a big moment. I almost couldn't get it out because that's a long time to be doing something and then to finally see the fruits of your labor.
That's amazing because, as you know, sometimes it takes decades and lives times to find something like that. So I think that really should be a credit to all the work too that you.
Oh, I'll show you this. This is really wild. You'll get a kick out of this because I always tell people, "Do you know what this is?" And I got it for my birthday a couple of years ago because I just felt so strongly. It's this
All right, let's see.
statue. I'm going to get it on the light where you can
Yeah,
see it. You see that?
sure. Yeah.
So that is after 100 years, Noah getting his first drop of rain,
Wow.
right?
Beautiful.
And it's kind of what we do. We put our heads down, and in faith, we do the work. And in faith, we know that we're uniquely appointed to do something, and we try to answer the best we can. And then we just hope for that first drop of rain. And for me, that was last year on the 40th anniversary of that medal, that big night, was to be able to announce that there might be an immunotherapy treatment for the disease that killed my mom.
Wow.
And I hope you have one of those nights very, very soon.
I appreciate it, and we thank you again for all the work you've done. This is an important question. Obviously, I feel you're the spokesperson for a lot of the work here in advocacy, but who we like to shine an imaginary light in those in your family and those in your life that kind of like to be behind the scenes. But I was wondering who helps you during times of struggle, and also I was a caregiver. Is there any tips you could give other individuals who might be caregivers out there listening?
Well, it's funny. Cancer, I had a good support system there, great support system. I'm really grateful and will always be grateful for that. But people would show up like this former Olympian Eileen Hannen in skating. She would show up with a big, huge vat of homemade chicken soup. I mean, it's great to know that people care. And this is sort of a message for anybody out there that doesn't know how to approach somebody that's going through a period of suffering. The best thing you can do is just reach out. And it could be something simple as a text. It could be something simple as an email, or just record your voice and send it to them so they know that you're thinking about them. And if they respond or if they reach out, just, really be interactive, because a lot of times what happens when people are going through a period of suffering is people want to respect their privacy. And when they do that, and if everybody does that, then that person feels isolated and alone. So I would encourage everybody out there, if you know somebody, a dear friend or somebody that you love or admire that is going through a period of suffering, just please reach out and just make yourself known to them. And I think in that, they'll really, it's a gust of wind in their sails, and they don't feel quite so isolated alone. For me, first brain tumor diagnosis, it was faith, pure faith. My wife, second I told her, she started to pray, and it ignited my faith in a really powerful way, that I realized that nothing in this world is accidental. Everything is to the glory of God, and we just have to, recognize who created us and who's in charge. And in that, hopefully we can ask for grace, mercy, and more sand in the hourglass, because all we want is more sand in the hourglass.
Yeah, I love that. And I encourage the same that you said. I was saddened a little during the toughest days and almost towards the end of my mother's progression. A lot of her, I thought, best friends or closest completely vanished. And I know it must have been hard for them, but it hurt her even more not to have them by her side.
Yeah, and people don't know what to say. They just don't. And that's where I love, the when the brain tumor happened. I knew things were shifting when I went through cancer, because I just had to step away and try to reinvent my life, because I realized that I survived something my mother couldn't. And in that, I just realized that I was letting the tail wag the dog in so many ways. It was just opportunity. It was, going after success and more attention and more opportunity and more and more and more. And I just felt like I was living wrong and all of that. I felt like maybe I wasn't being honest to myself or the people around me, and I just needed to step away. And I did. And so 3 years, on the third anniversary of my diagnosis, I met my wife. So and we call it best worst day. We celebrate every year. So it's the best day of meeting her and the worst day of getting diagnosed with cancer. But we recognize both. And it's really remarkable that if you can live in that tension of, yeah, good things are going to happen in your life and tough things are going to happen in your life. But no one should ever go through it alone, ever. And that's why I think my faith has really strengthened me throughout my life, because anytime I go through a period of suffering, I always say to people, it's a fork in the road, but it's not a left or right, it's an up or down, so you can succumb, adapt, or evolve. And I think each time I've chosen evolve, man, it's changed my life for the better and forever.
We send our love to your wife and the whole family and friends and everyone who supports you to help you be able to do what you do today. I do want to warn you, I can't ice skate. I was thankful when I saw that
I
little,
can't either.
yeah, right. They have that little kids thing. My kids use it.
Ah, good, smart. There's
Otherwise,
strategic choices, and
yeah,
if you've never been on skates before, make sure you have something to hang on to, because those little muscles that
wall.
support the big muscles, they need to work it out, and it just takes repetition, repetition. It's funny that first steps on the ice are like and then the more you do it, the more it's like let's go.
You
So.
still do it today?
No, I kind of had to step
Really?
away. I've got 4 kids, and they're almost grown and launched, so I'm trying to enjoy those days. And honestly, performing at 66 is probably, to see a man of my age in description in spandex is probably not an attractive thing. Or
Yeah.
shed more people than draw them together. So, no, I still use skating for all of our fundraising, and we have a big event last year. Kurt Browning and I had a blast. Just sort of splitting a piece of music. And he and I are very much alike in the way that we approach audiences. So we had a good time and the audience seemed to like it. So it wasn't really, it was kind of skating, but not really. But I couldn't walk for a week after that. So I thought, okay, you know.
Any of the children want to go in your path, or I know
No, my
that.
I have two birth children and two adopted children. So my oldest, actually, we adopted our kids from Haiti when they were 13 and 11. My oldest is in the Air Force, Jean Paul. My oldest birth son is training to fight in the UFC.
Well,
My daughter wanted to kind of, she's from Haiti as well. She wanted to chart her own course, so she's in the um, Army National Guard Reserve, and she wants to kind of like have their education and everything else. She may transition over to a full enlistment because she just likes the idea that she can chart her own course. And then my youngest son is homeschooled, and he's brilliant, and I think he's going to get into business and marketing, or just building companies. And he's really at 17, he's really remarkable, and he's changed the trajectory of my autumn season, or I'm not approaching winter, I'm not sure, but it's been really remarkable just to see how fascinated he is by learning and growing and by understanding and building a network. And it's been really fun. And he's also, like all my family, we really are in the word, and we really try to understand God's plan for us, and really just take the words of Jesus and his sacrifice and apply them to our lives every single day. And it's really remarkable how empowering that is, and how when you really step into faith, the world just sort of falls away, and you feel like you can endure anything.
thank them also for their service. I work with the auxiliary Coast Guard, so what they're doing really is changing the world also for the better. Uh,
Yeah.
as we kind of wrap up, I never say end because this conversation I feel has to continue until there's a cure for cancer and Parkinson. But as you're speeding along the Olympics and all your trials, tribulations, and achievements, was there a theme song in your mind that kind of pushed you and motivated you through some of the tougher times, like music?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I loved music. Music was kind of my best friend when I was skating, because you're kind of training by yourself. So when I was resting between sessions, or if I was at a competition, I would just listen to a lot of different music. But now I'm loving, kind of more of the worship music stuff. And it's amazing that when you get right into it, it's incredible. Um, there's a song, I think it's Elevation, does it, called So Will I?
Mhm.
Or yeah, So Will I. Um yeah, it's a remarkable song. But anyway, when I'm walking, or taking the dog out, I'll just put on a lot of just worship music, because it just makes me feel stronger and better somehow. And used to be just rock and roll, 70s and 80s rock, and now I live in Nashville, so it's a lot of country music and a lot of Christian music. So I'm just having to go with the flow.
Is there someone in your life, whether it's before our time, like past, present, or future, that you would love to sit down and interview or talk to for awareness, or just about, ice skating, or, past? I'm curious, is there someone you always wanted to interview yourself that you just haven't?
Oh my goodness. It's really remarkable that skating is such a small community. We just lost Dick Button, who was the early GOAT, right? He was the greatest of all time, early 48 and 52 Olympics. I got to spend a lot of time with him. I would have loved to have spent more time with him, because his mind was so on fire. And just to, like, that's an opportunity lost, that it would have been really fun just to take a tape recorder and just sit with him for a day and just record it all. Um, it's just throughout my skating life, Charles Schultz, the Peanuts creator, I did a lot of shows for him in Santa Rosa, California. In fact, we do a lot of our Skate to Eliminate Cancers. We do one every year in Santa Rosa. And he was a remarkable man, and I'm just really grateful that I ever got to meet him, but I got to know him as well. And I miss him every day, and I think about him all the time, and we hope to honor him in everything that we do for cancer in Santa Rosa. And it's really incredible how the community has responded to bringing back the ice shows that he loves so much in his arena. But I've gotten to meet a lot of really extraordinary people in my life, And those are the first two that jumped to mind because they were both world changers.
I'm gonna have that song in my mind every right now and the rest of the day too. It's amazing how, when we were growing up, the music, everything's so different. They just canceled the Muppets in Disney World, which is heartbreaking. Because
Oh, wow.
I
I
grew
didn't
up
know.
with the Muppets, and that's like was my life. And now our kids don't even know what the Muppets are. It's really, we got to bring the Muppets back.
Were Absolutely. No,
Were you ever on that? Because you might have.
Sesame Street, no. No, I never did
All right.
Sesame Street. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the next goal you have to set.
Yeah,
Although
it's funny because so much of my career was like I had to kind of find a way for male figure skating to be accepted because the women were always like instant, like boom, like superstars, and the guys like, we got to figure it out. So I was always breaking ground, and I was always like, well, we'd rather have if it comes down to a skater, we'd rather have Christiane Magucci, or we'd rather have, or we'd rather have, it's always the females. But now I think the popularity of the men has really taken off, and it's been fun to see that, after all these years, to see sort of men now close the show at the nationals and the world championships, and people are really in anticipation of seeing these incredible athletic feats. And this next Olympics coming up in February is going to be spectacular. We've got an American-born Russian skater named Ilya Malinin, who's just brilliant. And, he's coming off the heels of Nathan Chen's victory, and it's going to be exciting. And then to see what that does to bring skating into the next is going to be really fun to watch.
I really appreciate your time, all the efforts and work you do. I mean, I feel there's a bridge between awareness and sports, celebrity, and just being people out there and having the opportunity to talk to you and get the word out how important it is for cancer research, Parkinson's, and all these diseases to really bring it to an end. But through your voice, it really, I feel, kind of shake the world for a better. And I was wondering if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be?
That would be that our bodies are fragile, resilient, and ultimately, temporary. And that's not a downer, it's just reality. And we really want to live our lives fully and to have the full experience. So we need to find cures and proven treatments to extend life in all of these diseases. And Parkinson's, one of those where I have a friend, Brent Peterson, here in town. He's one of the coaches for the Predators, and he's been valiant in his fight. Again, Michael J. Fox is somebody I've gotten to know. Neil Diamond. These are all people that are, have been exposed or going through Parkinson's. Rebecca, Michael's wife, we need to continue to fund research, and we need to do it in the best way we possibly can. And I would say that independent foundations are much better than the government at doing things because of how accountable we are and how measurable we are. And I do think that finding a really good research foundation for Parkinson's and getting behind it and supporting it would really be a great way to elevate treatment options. And if we can find the genetic marker, whatever, creates this disease or allows it to happen, maybe we could prevent it in, countless people. So fund research, get behind it, fund research. Needs to be a private foundation. I firmly believe in that as having one. But it's finding those people that really turn nickels into manhole covers and are accountable and responsible. Those are the people you want to get behind. And awareness programs like this are extremely important for people that, have lost and have been devastated by this disease. But there are brighter days ahead. We just need to work towards them. And I would encourage anyone that sees this just to get behind just whatever you can do. If it's $10 a month, if it's $5 a month, if it's $100 a month, and you feel strongly about the advancement of Parkinson's science, then find a foundation that you believe in and get behind it and support it in every way you possibly can.
Thank you again so much for your time. I encourage everyone again to go to scotthamilton.com. Also follow Scott at Instagram, Facebook, and many other areas. We'll be sharing and following you two along the journey to find a cure for cancer research. I have a little message for you, Scott, and your whole family, the team there, and everybody listening. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Scott, will advocate for you, and together I feel our voices are so much stronger. And we always kind of wrap up with saying, I'm just getting started, because although I haven't just gotten started, on those tougher days when I really feel like I'm burnt out or I got to give up, I look to you, Scott, and everyone listening to realize that we still have work to be done. And until that day, again, the cure for cancer and Parkinson's is at everybody's doorsteps around the world. We still have work to do. And I'm so grateful to be able to advocate today by your side. It means more again than words can ever describe. So thank you.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thanks. And thank you everyone for listening. Please stay tuned. We have many more shows to come because we still have a lot of work to do till the cure is at everyone's doorstep. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son, George. And really, this has been such an honor. And thanks again, Scott. And thanks, everyone. We love you. We'll see you soon.